Hey YouTube, well it's happened again. I got Black Friday'd. I bought myself a Christmas present long ahead of Christmas. Turns out these are going to be useful to help me build another Christmas present, so I can justify it. And I think there may be some of you who are either in that same boat or you're eyeing up something like a planer and going, geez, I'd like to take advantage of the current sale prices. So I thought I'd go ahead, get this out of the box, give you my initial impressions, and you can take it for what it's worth. Maybe it helps you decide something before Christmas. Maybe it helps you decide something after Christmas. But either way, let's start digging. Well, there's a pleasant surprise. It actually came with the dust extractor shroud. I didn't think that it did based on reading the description, and that was the case pretty much everywhere I looked. Grizzly, Amazon, all these places sell this separately, so good to know you don't have to buy this separately. See what other goodies we got in here. It looks like about a T20, maybe a 25 Torx, which is what you need to get the top off of here to get at the blades, so it's nice to include that. So there's a power cord, obviously, and the handle to adjust the depth is for some reason wrapped around it. And they have snapped into the back of this thing an 8 and 10 millimeter open-ended wrench. I'm going to assume that's for the nuts to tighten down the actual blades. I'm not going to leave this in there. I have much nicer 8 and 10 millimeter wrenches than this, but more so than that, the last thing I want is this big old hunk of metal coming loose in the middle of a planing operation and chewing the heck out all the knives, or worse. I don't know if you can see on the video, but the shaft for the adjustment handle for the depth has a flat spot on it, so there's really only one way this handle can go on here, and it is secured using a Torx that happens to fit the wrench that they gave you. The dust shroud, which you probably can't see, has these plastic clips on the top as well as screws on the side and one on the bottom. There's a lip on the planer mechanism that these clips hook onto, and rather than trying to shove them on there and risk breaking them off, you put them in at an angle, wait for the thing to kind of settle down into the groove, and then it'll just rotate into place nice and straight. The manual says that the tables are set level from the factory. But I have the closest thing I have to a straight edge in here, and if I hold the flashlight behind this end, you notice you don't see any light. And as I start moving down here to this end, let me see if I can get the angle right. There you go. There's a pretty big old gap. In fact, I'm going to say that could be 1/8 of an inch, maybe more than that. So these tables are definitely low towards the planer bed and high on the outfeed. Here's the thing about this level measurement. It's actually right. If you read the maintenance section of the manual, when they say level the tables, they mean the outside edge of the table with the planer bed. It says that's to reduce friction of the wood sliding along the bottom surface. In reality, what it is to cut down on snipe. These lunchbox planers are famous for it, and if you can have the outside edge of the table up just a little bit, it helps support that wood when it gets down to only one roller and keeps the end of your board a little more usable. We'll see. It's really, really easy to adjust. We start cutting some wood. If it looks wrong, we'll change it. All right, the stand was part of the freebie that came with the Black Friday deal. I'm gonna throw that together. Not gonna bore you with all of the details. I'm assuming if you're interested in dimensioning your own lumber, you can insert tab A into slot B. I just did want to point out though that getting this stuff out of the box, Dewalt has thrown in a couple of nice touches. The directions are substantially better than your average IKEA directions, but more so than that, there's quite a bit of hardware in this stand, and they separated it for you. It's not all in one big giant bag. Not only that, but they're labeled as to which step of the directions they go with and which part of the stand they go with. So you will not spend an hour sorting through screws and nuts in order to get this done. Good job, DeWalt. Okay guys, well it's all set up on the stand. It's ready for the inaugural run. This is a 2x6, which is really, really twisted. I took it over to the jointer and I had to remove better part of a 1/4 inch to get this side of it flat. So I've got this planer set on 1.5 inches. That will remove probably nothing over here and 1/8, maybe a little more than that on the other side over here. And the grain in this thing is pretty wacky because, as you can see, it's right out of the center of the tree. But I think I'm going to do about best if I run it through this way. All right, so what I want to do here is give you a little tour of the effectiveness of the dust collection. This is the front bed of the planer, the in-feed side, and as you can see, it is not dust-free. However, compared to the amount of dust and shavings that this planer just made in those couple of passes, it's not too bad. And this is the outfeed side, which of course is right underneath where the dust collection hooks up, so you would kind of expect it to be cleaner, and sure enough, it is. So it's easy enough to get from in the box to up and running. The dust collection works reasonably well. The adjustment mechanisms all seem to work pretty freely. All good stuff, all thumbs up, but really all you care about is how does it do on the wood. And I gotta tell you, the results are nothing short of spectacular. There's no snipe here, folks. Zero, none. And I can't believe it myself because everybody I know who has a lunchbox planer talks about snipe. In the manual for this one, it talks about snipe, but there is no snipe on this board. In fact, with those nice sharp cutter heads and the brand spanking new rubber rollers, the planed side of this board is actually in better shape to the touch than the side I jointed with the helical carbide cutter head over on the Grizzly jointer. Best as I can tell, the secret to that is this mechanism right here. This particular lunchbox planer has a locking mechanism that grips the 4 posts in the 4 corners with a solid lock, which keeps the head from twisting and flexing like it can do if you really only have threads holding it. Whether that's going to hold up over time, whether that's even why it's working so well, we'll see. But it is unique to a kind of a subset of this style of planer, and for what it's worth, it seems to make the difference. All right, well, I don't expect that it's going to do much worse just because I got a piece of hardwood here, but I do want to see if I continue to get the good results, RE snipe, when I have a shorter piece of stock to run through there. This is a hunk of oak, so let me run it over to the jointer and get one face clean and see if the planer holds up as well as it did with the pine. I got out the calipers just to see how accurate these measurements are, and basically I measured this board after planing it and realized I was shooting for 3/4 inch thickness, 750 thou, and it was more like 780 thou based on me just eyeballing it on the measurement gauge there. So right off the bat, eyeballing off the tape, and I got within 30 thou. That's not too bad, but I thought, you know what, 30 thou, that's not quite a 32nd of an inch. And this crank handle up here at the top is graduated in 64ths. A 1/4 turn of the handle is a 64th. So I turned it not quite half a turn, which should be not quite a 32nd of an inch, and I came out 5 thou fat. 3-blade cutter head had no trouble with the oak. I will say though that our friend Snipe has finally shown up. You really got to look. It's on the in-feed side of the board here, and it's, you know, an inch maybe of snipe. And honestly, I didn't see that until I took that very, very last super ridiculously shallow pass. So there may be something about that, but no matter, that's, you know, 1 or 2 swipes with a hand plane, that'll be gone. So there you have it, guys. Unboxing assembly and initial thoughts on the Dewalt 734 lunchbox planer. If you can find yourself one of the good deals like I did with planer on sale and the stand included, I think it's worth picking up. I don't think you're going to do a lot better than this in the same price range. You could probably do just as well for a little less, or maybe a little better for a lot more money. There's hundreds of these things out there, and they're all a compromise in some way. But so far, this one is certainly manageable snipe, good cut quality, easy enough to use. I'm happy for the money I spent. We're going to really put it through its paces on the next build project, which I'm going to actually start filming this week, and hopefully the episodes will start popping out next week. Till then, questions or comments, leave them down below. Go see if you can get yourself a good deal on a planer, and above all, stay safe, YouTube.